Are you tired of paying taxes? Well, you're not alone. But have you ever wondered how income taxes came to be in the United States? Believe it or not, the history of income taxes in America is a fascinating and often dramatic tale that involves everything from war and revolution to political intrigue and economic theory. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the history and evolution of income taxes in the US, exploring key events and turning points that have shaped this vital aspect of our tax system. So buckle up and get ready to learn about one of the most important and controversial issues in American history: income taxes. The first federal income tax was introduced during the Civil War in 1862. During the height of the Civil War, the United States government found itself in a dire situation. The war effort was expensive, and the government needed a significant amount of money to keep it going. The solution? A tax on personal incomes. But this move was not without controversy. Many Americans saw it as an invasion of their privacy, a violation of their individual rights. However, as the war raged on, the tax proved to be a critical source of revenue for the federal government, allowing it to fund the war effort and ultimately secure victory. Just when Americans thought they were done with income tax, it made a comeback. After being repealed in 1872, income tax made a dramatic return in 1894 with a new law passed by Congress. However, the Supreme Court promptly ruled it unconstitutional, sending income tax back to the drawing board. But it wasn't the end of the story. Fast forward to 1913, and the game changed with the ratification of the 16th Amendment. Finally, the income tax became a permanent fixture in the US tax system, and it's been a source of debate and discussion ever since. The 16th Amendment changed the game when it comes to taxes. It gave Congress the power to levy taxes on incomes without the need for apportionment among the states. This was a significant shift in the balance of power between the federal government and the states, and it opened the door to a wide range of new tax policies and programs. But what does this mean for everyday Americans? Well, in the early years of the income tax, rates were relatively low, with the top rate set at just 7% in 1913. However, as the federal government began to expand its programs and initiatives, it needed more revenue, and rates began to climb. By 1918, the top rate had skyrocketed to 77%, and it wouldn't be until the 1920s that rates began to drop again. The income tax has always been a balancing act between funding government programs and ensuring that taxpayers aren't overburdened, and this delicate balance continues to this day. The income tax rates may have started low, but they quickly rose to incredible heights during critical moments in American history. The country was in a state of emergency during World War I, and the government needed money to fund its war effort. So it turned to the American people in the income tax system. The highest tax rate at the time skyrocketed to 77%, which was an enormous burden on the wealthy. But even with such high rates, the people of the United States came together to support their country and its troops. Similarly, during the Great Depression, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs were funded, in part, by increased income tax rates. These programs helped lift the country out of the economic despair and created jobs for millions of people. To ensure these programs were fully funded, Roosevelt introduced the modern system of payroll withholding, which is still in use today. In the 1980s, income rates took center stage in American politics, igniting a fiery debate that still rages on today. President Ronald Reagan's sweeping tax cuts in 1981 and 1986 were a watershed moment in tax policy, representing a dramatic shift in the government's approach to taxation. These cuts reduced rates across the board, and the top rate plummeted from a staggering 70% to a mere 28% over the course of the decade. The move was part of Reagan's larger effort to jumpstart the economy, create jobs, and restore American competitiveness on the global stage. It's safe to say that the Reagan tax cuts set the stage for a new era of tax policy, one that continues to shape the economic and political landscape of the United States. But as the US economy continued to grow and change, so too did the tax code. In the 1990s, President Bill Clinton introduced a series of tax increases aimed at reducing the federal deficit and funding new social programs. And in 2001 and 2003, President George W. Bush's tax cuts once again reduced rates across the board. Today, the income tax is a complex and ever-changing part of the US tax system. Rates vary depending on income level, with the top rate currently set at 37%. Deductions, credits, and other tax breaks can significantly reduce the amount of tax owed, and there are a wide range of other taxes and fees that Americans pay at the federal, state, and local levels. One interesting development in recent years has been the rise of online tax preparation and filing services like TurboTax and H&R Block. These services have made it easier than ever for individuals and small businesses to file their taxes, and have also made it easier for the IRS to catch errors and detect fraud. Of course, income taxes are just one part of the overall tax landscape in the United States. There are also payroll taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, and a variety of other taxes and fees that Americans pay on a regular basis. But income taxes remain a critical source of revenue for the federal government, accounting for nearly half of all federal tax revenue. Over the years, there have been numerous debates about the fairness and effectiveness of the income tax system. Critics argue that high rates and complex rules stifle economic growth and discourage investment, while supporters point to the need for revenue to fund vital programs and services. One major issue in recent years has been the question of tax reform. Many politicians and experts have called for sweeping changes to the tax code, including lower rates, fewer deductions, and simpler rules. The most significant tax reform in recent history came in 2017, when President Donald Trump signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act into law. This legislation reduced rates across the board and made a variety of other changes to the tax code, including doubling the standard deduction and eliminating many itemized deductions. The debate over tax reform is likely to continue in the coming years, as politicians and experts grapple with the best way to balance the need for revenue with the desire for fairness and simplicity in the tax system. So that's a brief overview of the history and evolution of income taxes in the United States. From the early days of the Civil War to the present day, the income tax has been a vital part of our tax system, providing funding for a wide range of programs and initiatives. While the tax code is complex and often controversial, it remains a crucial aspect of American life, and one that is likely to continue evolving in the years to come. As taxpayers, it's important for us to understand the history and significance of income taxes in the United States, so that we can make informed decisions about our own finances and our society as a whole. Whether you're a student of history, a policy wonk, or simply someone who wants to learn more about the world around them, the story of income taxes in the US is one that is both fascinating and important. Today, the income tax remains a complex and ever-changing part of the US tax system. Rates vary depending on income level, with the top rate currently set at 37%. Deductions, credits, and other tax breaks can significantly reduce the amount of tax owed, and there are a wide range of other taxes and fees that Americans pay at the federal, state, and local levels. Despite its complexity and controversy, the income tax remains a vital source of revenue for the federal government, funding everything from national defense to healthcare programs. The history of income taxes in the United States has been a roller coaster ride of controversy, upheaval, and change. From its controversial introduction during the Civil War to its modern-day complexities, the income tax has been a vital source of revenue for the federal government and a hotly debated topic among politicians and taxpayers alike. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of one of the most significant aspects of the US tax system. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.